Fine, no.
Okay. Welcome back to the From the Fabricator podcast. I'm your host, Max Pearlstein. Thank you so much for once again joining me through this journey of through the glass and glazing industry. I really appreciate it. So good show ahead. Got a couple of great guests. Get to that in a second. Quick heads up, if you're going to GFAB, the new Glass Fabricator Conference in Chicago, check it out. Look forward to hearing the feedback. It's the first time, and should be a good event. So looking forward to hearing more about that. Obviously, I have to thank my friends at FHC. And so when it comes to the glass and glazing industry, FHC isn't answering to shareholders. They're answering to glazers, fabricators, the people doing the work every day. Founded as a return to what a true vendor partnership should be, FHC is built on accountability, extreme customer service, quality products, and agile customization. But what really sets them apart is their focus on the people, real relationships, real support when it matters most. From quick answers and meaningful conversations to helping customers solve problems and win more projects, FHC believes business is still personal. Their mission is simple: help grow the glazing industry, not exploit it. And you've heard me talk on here about the rising tide lifting all boats, and that's kind of it there. Because when their customers succeed, the entire industry gets stronger. FHC, your partner in glass, every step of the way. You install glass, FHC installs confidence. Check them out, fhc-usa.com. All right, so we are leading it off with Dr. Tom Culp, industry consultant, Birch Point Consulting. He's a big key in the NGA technical and advocacy team, working with the great Urmilla Sowell and company. He's amazing. He breaks some news. He gives you some heads up on some things coming down the pike. You want to listen to it. You don't want to miss it. And then I go to Jamie Kernohan, Director of Marketing and Communications at Glass Guru. Really super sharp, interesting, neat kind of path to the industry. Interesting takes on what's hot, what's not, and how things are working out there. And also the people factor. The people factor is so big. So good stuff all the way around. We kick it off right now with Tom, and I'll see you on the other side with my TV and movie reviews. Here we go. Okay. I am thrilled to have Tom Culp, owner, Birch Point Consulting, one of the technical superheroes in our industry. He is on that tech and advocacy team and consultant, and I am absolutely thrilled to get to know him and also get to hear, because when Tom talks, you have to listen. Tom, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Glad to be here. Happy to talk. So,
I'm thrilled. It's funny. I've known you a long time, and I know a bunch about you, but I don't think I know, everything from the standpoint of like where you came from, sort of thing. So, let's start with your past. Where you were born. Take me back, and kind of your journey to being a technical superhero in the glass and glazing industry.
yeah, sure. And as we always joke, once you get into the glass, everyone has a different path into the glass industry, and then you're stuck once you're there. So
You bet. Nobody
I have
leaves.
mine too. So,
Yep, I love it.
yeah, I grew up in Colorado, and just suburbs of Denver. My dad was an aerospace engineering professor at University of Colorado Boulder, and he used to wear a pin that said, "Why, yes, I am a rocket scientist." And so that was kind of the household I grew up in, and so I didn't go aerospace, obviously, but I went to University of Colorado Boulder for chemical engineering
Okay.
for my bachelor's, and then moved to Wisconsin, went to University of Wisconsin-Madison to do my PhD in chemical engineering. But I guess the link into glass is, even though I was chemical engineering, it was really more material science. And
Right.
so my first job out after that was as a lab scientist, a research scientist for what is now known as Arkema. They had a different name back then, but I was in their glass coatings group working on low E coatings. And so that was the first tie-in. I was working on low E glass coating development in the lab. And then I kind of got pulled into what I do now a little bit because we were dealing with some issues with Energy Star and
Right.
DOE at the time, like in the early 2000s, and they pulled me in as the technical guy, and that kind of brought me into the whole, opened my eyes to this whole regulatory world where it's a mix of technical and politics, and I got involved that way, and then here I am. I'm in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and so Arkema was in Philadelphia, and
Right.
my wife's a physician, and when she finished her training, we said, apologies to some of my friends, but we said enough of the East Coast, and we
Yeah.
going back to Wisconsin, and that's kind of when I started doing the consulting thing for Ghana and others, and
I love it.
got trapped.
I,
Glass.
I love it, and you surprised me because I did not know you had a kind of relationship to the glass industry because when I
Yep.
met you, you were consulting for the Aluminum Extruders Council, and so
Yep.
I thought that you were a consultant doing the Aluminum Extruders Council, and then we just because you were so freaking good, we convinced you to come over to Ghana at the time to help us out. I had no idea you had a glass connection.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Like my first consulting gig was I'll always be grateful to Steve Widener from Pilkington. He had me do some consulting work for him when moved from Philly to Wisconsin, and then the Aluminum Extruders Council, from the curtain wall and window wall framing side of things where you and I first met.
Yep.
Kind of got involved. So yeah, I've had glass back then too. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Steve Widener, one of the greatest of all time,
Yeah.
by far, tremendous man. He retired, and I'm thrilled for him, but I do miss him in our world every day for sure. So, give me a little bit more of an overview, though, of what your specialty is as a consultant. So, obviously, you're doing things for the good of our industry. What else? What else do you have like on your docket, or are you really focused on kind of the built environment sort of thing?
Yeah. And just to make myself feel old and give you a time frame, I've been doing the consulting thing since 2004, and so it's been over 20 years. And so basically, my work with NGA and really Ghana before that is on energy and green building and sustainability matters, and really with a focus on the codes and standards. So that's where you'll see me talking at BEC or other events and Glass Build, talking about, what's going on, and especially green building, sustainability, energy efficiency, how it impacts our industry. As part of that, I'm co-vice chair of ASHRAE 90.1,
Okay.
which is one of the main committees for energy standards. I also have a voting and leadership position on the commercial IECC, or International Energy Conservation Code Committee. So I do all that for NGA and priorly Ghana. And then I also do, like you mentioned, I also do that for the Aluminum Extruders Council. So that brings in the extruders who there's a lot of membership overlap between the
Yeah.
two organizations, and curtain wall, window wall, commercial window framing. And so that's been a good partnership for NGA and AEC because they can do some cost sharing for the members, which helps the membership. And then it
Hmm.
also, for me, allows me to go to these meetings and represent the whole package,
Right.
the glass and the framing and the whole system when I'm talking to these people. And then I guess the other part is kind of beyond codes and standards. And it all overlaps, but I have a lot of interaction with DOE, EPA, GSA, the national labs. I do a lot of work with the national labs, both for NGA as well as like other stuff. I provide input on some of their research programs related to window and glazing technology. I participate with programs like PAWS, which is this Partnership for Advanced Window Solutions. I
Hmm.
did that
Hmm.
for NGA. And then just kind of build these relationships, both governmental and non-governmental. So
I love it. Yeah, you're everywhere. That's very cool. I've got Tom Culp with me, owner Birch Point Consulting, heavily involved as an NGA consultant.
yeah,
And with the NGA, I got to ask, you work with Urmilla Sowell, who I think is just completely brilliant. Thom Zaremba, who's amazing. Nick Resatar, who's amazing. I mean, you guys, what a what a Karen. I mean, the whole crew. How is it that you guys work so well together? Because there's so much talent in one room. Normally, you'd have some fighting, but you guys are like a finely tuned orchestra.
yeah.
I'm really impressed.
And we've been together a long time. First off, Urmila is amazing. She's the real rock star and has a great team. And so some of us, like Tom Zaremba and myself, we were the original TNT, as Urmila
Yep.
says. And then fortunately, when Nick came on board, he had the right initials, so he's the true TNT. Um, but he was like, yeah. So several of us, like Tom Zaremba, Urmila, and myself, we go back to the Ghana days, and
Right.
so we've worked together a long time, and as Tom Zaremba will often say, like the way he and I work together, he likes to use the word hand in glove because we'll say with no preparation, we'll go up to these code hearings and say, talk about the same issue in a different manner that work together. And I don't know, it's just been very fortunate. And he's been a mentor to me. And then Urmilla has expanded her team, especially since the NGA merger to have great additions like Nick and Karen and Georgia and Amber and I'm really truly impressed how Irma can see the big picture and come up with ideas for both the long term and the short term. And a lot, for our team, what do we do? A lot of people don't understand that advocacy for our industry is not just like traditional Hill stuff, which we
Right.
do, and we'll
Right.
talk about that.
Yeah.
But it's really driven by our involvement in building codes, technical standards, and relationships with the governmental agencies, national labs, and other groups. And Irma has always been insistent that we have a seat at the table because when you don't, that's when changes are made that can severely hurt you. So we really thrive on that. And and like you said, we trust each other. And then besides our team, I did want to point out that the members play a role
Right.
in this as well. Member participation in the NGA technical committees is an important role because those committees kind of bring us up to speed on what issues need to be solved or
Sure.
addressed. They're the ones that put together the consensus documents that, raise the industry and then we'll bring those into the standards and codes or maybe even legislation. And that's really the benefit for the membership. So it's all interwoven. So
And it works. And I feel bad. I forgot about Georgia and Amber, but again, great people and a great team. And you guys having to have that seat at the table is absolutely crucial because we're going to talk about the battle for the wall. That was something that, has kind of come and gone, but it really never really goes away, right? And I mean,
yeah,
talk to me about the fact that there is still a battle for the wall. There are a lot of people who don't
yeah,
realize that other industries don't want glass and glazing because of various reasons. But
yeah.
talk about the battle for the wall and what we're doing.
Yeah. And for those, those newer to the industry may not even know the full history. We had this huge fight back in the early 2010s where there was a blatant attempt to a proposal for a direct reduction in the allowable window area on buildings. So that obvious how that would impact us and really set everyone on fire. But that issue, that battle is still there, and it's an example of why we always have to have a seat at the table. And at that first original battle, we rallied the industry and we successfully showed the committee how the reduction was actually counter to high performance buildings and would harm occupant, health and well-being. And so we won that battle. But it's been a number of years now, and it's still going on. And the attacks are still coming, but it's more subtle and not always the front page news.
Right.
So you may not always hear about it. I try and highlight it in my presentations when they come up, but there have been a number of times over the subsequent years that just by having a seat at the table, by being in the room at these meetings, Urmilla, Tom, or myself will speak up and head off a suggestion that someone was either going to, either directly or indirectly go after window area. And so just by being there, we've shut that down many times. And there's a new example just last month, like in May, we stopped an attempt to revise how envelope backstops are calculated in ASHRAE 90.1 that would have indirectly limited glazing area. It's like a weird little nuance in the calculation method, but we spotted it and we stopped it. And so even in a high performance building, they were trying to do some limitations. And so you got to be there.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And I'm glad you are. I mean, that's again, it's funny. You're right. I mean, I'm glad you talked about where this whole all came from because when it did come out, it could have been disastrous for our
Mhm.
industry. And I think also a lot of architects didn't realize what was going on too. They would not have been happy about it, but it would have been too late by the time they got involved. So the
Yeah.
fact that you were there on the front line made a huge difference.
And that's a great point because with the architects that, you know, our message is getting out there. It's been a long haul where we've talked about it. We've worked with partners to highlight how having access to daylight and view is critically important to occupant health and well-being. and we've been trying to educate architects and the building industry about this, and it's breaking through. And so one thing that it could be breaking news today is that we can highlight here today is that we can now report that we know our proposals to require natural lighting in school classrooms, dormitories, and apartments in the International Building Code have successfully now been approved in the
Awesome.
final online governmental vote of the building. This is building code officials across the world. They have the final say, and we just got word that they have been approved. And just to for those not familiar, NGA and AEC have been working together with AIA and also Professor Juan Miro. I have to give him a shout out from
Mhm.
University of Texas, Austin, to change the building code to ensure natural light in these spaces. In our proposal, NGA and AECs and GICCs, we put in a proposal to address school classrooms, and then Professor Miro and AIA's proposals were aimed at stopping this troubling trend of developers trying to build windowless dorms at universities. It's
Yeah.
happened in California and Michigan and Austin. That's why Professor Merrill got involved. And we've talked about like it's a long process, and we've had success with these proposals in the earlier committee and public comment hearings, but now I can gladly report that they just passed the final online vote. And so it's a great win for our industry. That's something we need to celebrate, and we will celebrate. And but more importantly than just for us, it's important to the future of buildings and for those who live, work, learn, play in them. So
Yeah, inhabit them. I never could understand the windowless, the Charlie Munger windowless
yeah,
dorm.
yeah,
And just the whole push. Well, you could put a light, a fading light in the
yeah,
hole where a window would be. It's like, it's completely ridiculous. I mean, the mental
yeah,
health aspect, you're living in a cave. I mean,
yeah.
I don't get it. So congratulations. That's huge, huge
Yeah.
news.
And it's a great example of what our advocacy team tries to do because, we had our proposal and we've develop the information to defend it, but it's more about working with others. So I have to shout out to Dr. Lisa Heshong, who's done all the groundbreaking work showing the benefits of natural light and not just having a video screen.
Right.
And then, working with AIA and Professor Miro, he's shown us some nightmare photos of real dorm rooms with no windows. And it's like you said, my kids are college age, and I couldn't imagine how horrible that would be. And so we worked together with them and built consensus, and we turned some former adversaries into allies, and now it looks like we finally have it through, which is a great win. So
That's awesome. Well, that's awesome. I have Tom Culp with me. Birch Point Consulting also works very closely with NGA, AAC, and others to do good things for our world. And always consensus building too, which is a huge piece. I'm curious. We talked about the battle for the wall. We talked about now what's happening with the schools. But is it what is number one on your list for we as a code industry, we as an industry have to look out for the codes? Is it some of the stretch codes? Is it what's the thing that you're looking at as number one to go after, be aware of, etc.
yeah, that's a tough one. I was trying to think about that, and I would say it's hard to identify one specific issue.
Sure.
But I kind of go back. There's a mantra that Irma and I use a lot, which is defend and promote. And so you have to defend against the harmful changes, but also promote the good things that we're doing. And so that's kind of our mantra internally. And that necessarily means we have to have like a broad scope for monitoring what's going on out there and getting actively engaged. So you mentioned the stretch codes, and I've talked about this at BEC and other places that we've seen a lot more activity than we used to. We used to, like just see kind of just pay attention to the national model codes, and then when they get implemented, different states may vary, but it's the same general structure. But now we're seeing states doing their own thing, whether it's Massachusetts or Colorado, and so it creates a broader scope that we have to monitor, and it's really helped that Urmilla has expanded the team, Georgia, and covers some of that aspect where we're trying to watch more closely what's happening at the local level in addition to the national level. And so, it's not one thing, but the point, so we have to be able to respond to everything. But um, because it's a chaotic time, not just in our general country, but even in building codes. And so we have to watch that and then, look for ways that we can cast a broad net in terms of promoting things like natural lighting, or new high performance products like VAG, or school security glazing. Where can we promote that? And we're having some success there in certain states, and bird friendly glazing. So it's not one thing, it's more. I'd come back to this mantra: defend and promote, and then use that to cover everything. And that's also why our member involvement's important.
Right.
It's
Right.
not just one thing. So that's where our members, they're the eyes on the ground. They can help us identify issues. They help with things like ASTM development, standard development, participating in that spandrel research project that's going on. Just our members' involvement is very important to this, or we have to work together. So
And I think where you're dead on there is that with the members, they're vast. So what means something to Michael Soroka in Calgary and on the decorative and specialty side is completely different than what it means to Evan Afner of Double Play Glass, or Joey Aragon from Aragon Construction, who is on the glazing, commercial glazing side. They have different priorities, but they both have a voice in that room because they're volunteers who care. And
right.
then give it
Yeah.
to you guys, and also just maybe things you're not aware of that have popped up on their radar, and then you have the ability to look into it versus it being too late.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. You do good stuff, my man. I love it. So we got Tom Culp with me. We're about halfway through the pod, and I always halfway through ask a fun question to lighten things up. And this one is I can't wait to hear this because I know you travel. You at one time had children literally on both sides of the country, as far apart in the country as you probably could get. So favorite city to visit for both work and vacation. So what is that favorite city that you're like, oh, great, the IECC meeting is in X. I'm really that's a really good place to be. And then where does Tom Culp and wife and family love the vacation? What's the spot for you guys?
Yeah, I do love travel. So for those who don't know, I have boy-girl twins. So it was even more humorous when they decided, when they went off to college. One went to University of San Diego, and the other one is at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. So that is diagonally far apart as you can get. And
Amazing, amazing. Yeah.
but I love traveling. We love traveling. So and that it's like no problem. We're happy to bounce around. So I did love when we had NGA meetings in San Diego. That was
Yep.
in Carlsbad. That was fantastic. But this makes me laugh also because there's overlap between the work and play part. Because the life of a consultant means you have flexibility,
Right.
but you can also not totally ever escape. So believe it or not, I just got back from a trip that included Croatia, where my daughter is doing a semester abroad, and we went over there and picked her up, and we traveled around to Montenegro, Italy, and even Tunisia. But I was still emailing and texting people from Tunisia,
Oh
and
yeah.
so but that's part of the job, and I love it because it gives me the flexibility to do both, and so, there's no one city. It's just
Okay.
always the next place. As you know, I'm a huge scuba diver,
Yep.
and those trips are always up there for me personally. Whether it's diving with whale sharks in the Philippines, that was amazing, or diving in cenote caverns in the Yucatan, and so I don't know where the next one will be, but
You're a brave
always
man.
somehow.
The caverns, you won't catch me anywhere near the caverns. You're a very
Yeah,
brave man, so I give you credit on that. And San Diego, top
yeah,
notch. I know,
uh-uh.
the fact that BEC's there coming in 2027, very exciting,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
exciting to be in San Diego. Good choices, and you're right. Is that from a consulting standpoint, you don't turn it off. If I get to take a cruise with the family, that's usually the only time I turn it off, just because it's very hard to communicate from there, and I kind of want to. But I only will take a 3 day cruise too. You won't catch me on a 7 day cruise being disconnected. I'd be a mess.
yeah.
So, but very cool. A couple more questions for Tom Culp. Birch Point Consulting also works very closely with the National Glass Association, aluminum extruders, and so many other things that he protects our interests. This one I'm very, very curious about. Have you ever felt out of your depth in one of these code meetings. We were like, oh, whoa, because I've always looked at you as you've always known all. You've always gone in and nothing has really phased you. But maybe early in your career, or maybe something new has thrown you a curveball. Have you ever felt out of your depth out there?
Oh yeah, of course, lots of times. But that's what I think makes this codes and standards and advocacy work so interesting because it's a mix of technical knowledge. And so, yeah, the PhD in the engineering and then just working in the glass industry for so long, that's key. But it's a mix of technical along with politics and relationships. And so those extensive network is really the key. And so being like co-vice chair of ASHRAE 90.1 has forced me to not just be on the envelope subcommittee, but
Right.
I've had to learn more about the other areas of building science outside of just glass and windows, like mechanical systems and renewable energy systems, and then even within the envelope, opaque and roof, wall and roof systems, lighting controls, and it's some of that stuff is like, whoa, I had no idea. And so, but that's where we have these extensive relationships with other experts on the committees and at national labs and other parts of the building industry. And so that's you rely on that. And so you can reach out to the connections and you feel a little out of depth and say, hey, teach me about this, or what do you mean by that? And it works both ways, vice versa. People will come to me and Urmilla and Tom and if they have questions about glass and fenestration, and so I'll get those all the time. Someone in the concrete industry coming to me and say, hey, well, I had a question about XYZ, and so it's a two-way road, but so
Wow. Okay.
you never do
Okay.
anything alone. Everything's always about building connections and.
Yeah, the collaboration, and that is the one thing. If people don't know, the one thing about Tom is that while some people always have, oh, I don't like that person, I don't get along with that person. You seemingly get along with everybody, which is amazing because I know some of these code bodies can get heated. There's a lot of pressure on people, but you get along with everybody, even when I'm like, why do you get along with them? And you're like, that's how I am. But you get
Yep,
along with everybody. It's the
I just
it, it's
try.
the it's the Denver, Colorado, Wisconsin in you. If the
Yeah,
Philadelphia,
you're
you
right.
wouldn't get along with everybody. It's the Wisconsin in you. I love
That's
it.
true. And Tom, Tom Zaremba and I, we used to joke how we would do good cop, bad cop, but I would always have to be the good cop because
Always.
I would try and build collaboration, look for compromise, or we'd work on a change to a proposal that would like satisfy both sides, kind of, that. Whereas like, Tom being the attorney, he could turn on the bad cop part, and so we worked really well together that way. And
I've always said I don't want to get ever on Tom Zaremba's bad side. That would not be a good place to be.
And that's true with Nick now too, kind of filling in some of that role. He's so it's so we each have our role and work very well together.
You
So
do. You do. I love it. Couple more questions for Tom Culp. I'm curious with glass and glazing advocacy days. It's we've done it a handful of times now. Are you seeing more? I mean, because I know it's very kind of there's so many people to see. You see different levels of people, and every year there seemingly is a different priority. But are you seeing that, hey, now people are starting to understand glass more? You're starting to have people, that are grasping it. I know Urmilla, like she had a meeting, she got a phone call almost right away after the glass and glazing advocacy days from a senator's office. Are we gaining, or how far do we have to go?
yeah, it's an ongoing process, and but like this year, like the prior ones, it was great as always, in my opinion. And obviously this is a uncertain time on the Hill right now with anything, and
Right.
so we'll see what can be achieved, in the near term. But it's really about the long-term commitment, consistency, and it does build with time. And so like John Griggs from Guardian and I were on the same team for more than once, and we were talking about how we were in some meetings, and the same legislative aide came in and already knew us, like not just NGA, but like, oh yeah, and like personally remembered us from the last time, and we're already familiar with some of the issues that we were talking about from the previous time we did it. So that's was a nice surprise, and it shows that they do. Whether we've we've met sometimes directly with the congressional member. Um, the person you really want to meet with is like the legislative director, and we've had those meetings too because they get things done.
Yeah.
To like a subject matter legislative aid, and I am very impressed. They know what they're doing, and they know the matter, and they ask great questions, and they're starting to learn glass, and so they're asking good questions. Um, and then there's the follow-up. And so K&L Gates has been a fantastic partner. And Lori Papuro has been involved with glass for many, many years. So even though she's K&L Gates, she's really a glass person too. And so we've had different congressional offices follow up and reach out to us through her when they have questions for follow-up, like the meeting you spoke about. And we had some on some tax issues. We had some follow-up meetings, and we had another office who wants to dive into the bird-friendly glazing requirements and a little more in depth, and said, hey, who do we need to talk to? And so it'll build, and it will continue to build, um, and so I think it's really great that we're doing that, and we'll continue to do so.
I think it's fantastic. And those who don't know, K&L Gates works with the NGA as their, Washington. I hate to use the word lobbyist.
That's what they are, but
That's what
yeah,
they are, but they seem not like the typical lobby. They are invested in our industry.
yeah, that would, yeah.
When I see Lori and the way she talks and like you said, the passion, that doesn't seem like somebody who is just what you would imagine as a lobbyist. She is into our world.
Yeah,
Wait,
she's not just a hired gun or anything like that. She has worked with some of the primary glass manufacturers for over 20 years, and she knows us, and so yeah, so it's a great partnership. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're always out and about, and so I got to ask, any glass and glazing products? I mean, because I know people come to you all the time and probably kick the tires and say, "Hey, we're developing X. What do you think?"
yeah.
Of angle. But any glass and glazing products out there catching your eye, saying, "Okay, this is something that I'm excited about."
Yeah, first time you're commenting about like sometimes people approach me. That is true. Like so working through whether some of the DOE research funding projects that are out there, sometimes I'll act as a project reviewer, or someone will just reach out to me and they'll say like, "Oh, I got a sample of this new coating or this new product," and it's like 1 inch, 1 inch square thing, and they're like, "This is going to change the world." And I'm like, "Okay, that's very interesting, but can you make it 12 feet wide and
Right.
uniform and all and that cost and all that stuff?" So it's a lot of people don't realize what has to happen to bring a new technology, a new product to market.
Yeah.
But the one that just still excites me, and it's been around forever, but I think it's finally, real is VIG, vacuum glazing.
Yep. Yep.
I'm really excited about it. As we now have more suppliers,
Hmm.
um, and scale is starting at and good products, and so we're starting to see the costs come down, and to me that'll make my world easy because if it's such an amazing product that if you can do it at scale and at a reasonable cost, just encase the whole building in that stuff, and
Yeah.
it takes away the whole battle for the wall issue or in our favor. And so that's the one and it's been talked about for 20, 30 more years, but I think it's finally hitting, and we're seeing it. And
Yeah,
so that,
I always think it's the overnight sensation 30 years in the making. I
yeah,
mean, it's,
exactly.
but it is a game changer for us, and the
Yep.
things are changing, and it cannot be understated the look and the performance, but the look that was always the thing that the architects and others, the price was high and so on. But when an architect doesn't like the look, it doesn't matter what it costs.
Right.
They don't want to go forward. Now that's all out of the mix of excuses because the look is fantastic no matter who's supplying it, and that's a big plus for us. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm excited to see that continue to take off, and that I think that's the number one in my view that I think will hopefully change the industry and the broader built industry. But
Awesome. Good choice. Good choice. And so I was going to end with my typical question about the economy, but when you and I talked, you said, it's mayhem out there,
yeah,
and you made me, remember, and I don't know if you were in this meeting. It was probably right when you were starting. It was in 2004, 2005. It was an NFRC meeting,
Yep.
and it was like the substitute teacher was teaching class. I mean, it was pure anarchy in the room, and everybody's talking over each other, and nothing's getting done. And I'm thinking, when you said the economy right now, you can't figure it out. It was like I'm thinking about that meeting where
Yep.
it was just bonkers.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I mean, and I know you were overseas. Do you see any light at the end of the tunnel over there? I'm sure people are excited to talk to you about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just all. I'm hoping that the chaos will settle
It
down.
has to. It has to. It has to. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Everywhere. And yeah, so that's, so yeah, I don't know. But I do, so I don't know that anyone knows. We see all the discussion about tariffs and on, certainly on the on the aluminum side, and that's been around in different forms for a while, but there's a
Yeah.
difference between, like some of these anti-dumping
Right.
tariffs that there's a very valid reason they were put in place versus like these other tariffs that just kind of go up and down and creates a lot of uncertainty, and true for glass and true for
Hmm.
steel and other materials. And so I don't know that anyone has that
No.
crystal ball right now. And but I hear the other building industries talking about it as well, and everyone's kind of like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
big shrug emoji. I don't know.
It
So
is. We're all rolling with the punches, and
yeah,
that's all that matters. I assume, of course, I'll see a glass build in the fall. That
absolutely.
you being there, educating the industry at large, and folks, if you have not seen Tom and Urmilla at Glass Build, or if you've never been to a BEC to see them present, it's worth everything just because of what you bring to the table. And I know that it's funny. You'll talk for about a half an hour or 45 minutes, and then you'll have a line out the door of people wanting to talk to
Yeah.
you even more. I mean, you could probably stand up there for 5 hours if you wanted to.
Yeah. And it's not too late for GFAB. GFAB in Chicago's coming
Yep.
up, and so yeah, so I'll be at GFAB in Chicago and coming up in a week or two,
Yep.
and then glass build, and but I'm always just a phone call or an email away, even if I'm in Tunisia. So you know,
I love it.
yeah,
Well, I appreciate you doing the podcast. Tom Culp, Birch Point Consulting, NGA's technical advocacy consultant, one of the NGA technical superheroes from our little ad a few years ago. Thank you so much for doing the pod. Keep doing what you're doing, my friend. It
yeah.
makes a difference out there. It really does.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and it's a lot of fun too. So
Awesome. Thank you,
yeah.
sir.
Hey Glazers and Fabricators, FHC, the frameless hardware company, is here to support your business. In addition to offering a complete selection of glazing tools and supplies to get the job done right, we design, engineer, and manufacture a comprehensive offering of frameless shower door systems, heavy glass doors, aluminum entrances and storefronts, architectural railings, transaction and display hardware. Privately owned and American made, FHC prioritizes you, the customer. You now have a choice. Visit fhc-usa.com.
Okay. I have this time out Jamie Kernohan, Director of Marketing and Communications, Glass Guru. Can't wait to hear more about them. Find them online at www.theglassguru.com. Jamie, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Oh, thank you, Max. I'm so excited to be here today.
I'm thrilled. I've gotten to meet you a couple times, but getting to know you, not in the cards because you were like a ball of energy moving in 1,000 different directions. And so this is my great opportunity to get to know you a little bit, and I'm excited about that. And I always start off with kind of the background, your origin story, basically, where you're born, grew up, went to school, and your path to today. Hit me with the past, please.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit longer than the typical tell me about yourself,
Not a
right?
problem. Bring it. It's all good.
Well, I am actually from Fayetteville, North Carolina. So I have deep roots in North and South Carolina, and I grew up moving around a lot. My dad was in the oil business. So
Okay.
we moved around a lot until about high school. I ended up living south of Fort Worth for most of ever since then, actually.
Okay.
So been in the Dallas Fort Worth area since then, and I have my undergrad from UT Arlington, my MBA from UT Dallas, and I've just been in the marketing advertising world in the DFW area since then. So great to be a part of the community, and worked agency side, client side, started in home services as well, and then hospitality. I've also done some CPG. So just really kind of run the gamut in my career. So happy to be here today. Um, Personal note,
Yeah.
been married for about 25 years to my husband, who's from Northern Ireland.
Oh, wow.
And yes, he has an accent. So
Okay.
um, unfortunately, I don't hear it as much anymore. But yes, so we've been married 24 years. My son just graduated from Texas A&M, and then my daughter is a sophomore at Oklahoma State. So we're on the verge of empty nesters. So this is a new endeavor for us as well.
Definitely new adventure, new adventure. And so, and backing up, you went to UT Arlington, UT Dallas. You're going to get the doctorate from UT Austin. I mean, that's the only thing that's
Oh man,
left.
I think my husband would be afraid. I could so want to do that, but he would just look at me like, no. Like the master's degree was enough. So yeah,
Gotcha.
I don't think it's in the cards for me.
Gotcha. Well, I love the career. We're going to cover some things, especially now to the present. I'm always a fan of marketing people and people who know their stuff like you do. So let's talk though about Glass Guru. I kind of know a little bit about Glass Guru. I don't know a lot. So give me a little bit of an elevator pitch. What do you guys do? Where you operate? So and so. So the audience who isn't familiar can get familiar with what you're doing over there.
Oh yes, sure. I'm happy to do that. We are in the glass repair business. So we are service excellence is one of our mottos, but glass repair first is something that we strive for so that we can take care of your glass restoration, window replacement, foggy window repair. So that's one of our signature services, as well as showers, mirrors, screens, doors, and commercial glass. So really being that repair service. And that's what makes us unique. Our competitive advantage is that you don't have to replace the whole window. And not too many customers know that. Not too many homeowners know that. They just think,
Right.
oh, I have to go whole window, right? Well,
Right.
you don't.
Yeah.
You can call us. We can come out and do an assessment. And we strive to save you money from that aspect, but really give you a great quality replacement and also excellent service.
And you're national, correct? I mean, you have locations throughout the U.S.
Oh, yes. So, yes, we are a franchise group, and then we have 80 franchise owners across the United States. So, you should be able to find us on our website, type in your zip code, and we'll find the closest guru to you.
It's bigger than I thought, and I like the closest guru to you. The marketing, it doesn't stop with you. See what she's talking about. Jamie's talking about theglassguru.com is the website, and she is the director of marketing communications. Jamie, again, thrilled to have you here with us. I'm curious. You had a past on the supply side. Now you're on the install and repair side. How's that been? Because it is two different worlds. I've had some guests on the show that have done it, and they've talked about the differences. How about for you? Because the other guests I've had have been more from the operational side, your marketing. What's it been like switching from supply to install/repair?
It's very different, of course, right? So on the supply side, it's all product based, product manufacturing, distribution, thinking of the different ways to get the product to the customer. And now that I'm on the install side, it's really bringing that customer journey full circle. I understand what it's like and how they have to wait to get glass and put the orders in and build that into our marketing, messaging to say, we have great suppliers and work our magic trying to get those products to our customers as fast as we can with the highest quality. So having that insight really does play very well for me, I think, in that messaging to our customers. So it's a great place to be.
Yeah, and it gives you, and you can probably spread it around to other folks at the Glass Guru, that the understanding of the supply chain. I mean, because I know probably in some of your franchises, they probably don't get the challenges that the supply chain has from the manufacturer, the fabricator, and you can clear that up for them.
Yes, no, they'll have concerns and challenges. And so we talk through that. And I definitely offer that communication to our franchise owners through our marketing hours. So every Monday, I host a marketing hour where franchise owners come on and just ask their marketing questions. And a lot of times we do talk about those challenges, and then we think, well, how can we work on the messaging so that that does benefit us, and it can overall. So we do our best to help them with that.
I love it. That's a great idea. I love it that you meet with everybody every Monday. That's really cool. And again, with so many people, it's probably a great way to kind of hit hit everybody at once instead of making 80 phone calls every Monday morning.
It sure is. And they come on and have questions, and then we talk about the latest and greatest in marketing. And the best thing about it is the communication of our legacy owners to our new owners, because we're always bringing new people on, and it's like they just come to us. Sometimes they have a marketing background, sometimes they don't. And, you can have a great business acumen, but you've never been in marketing. So this is a great place to have those conversations of, oh, wow, these events work. This situation would really be great in this case. And how do you get your referrals? And really thinking of that B2B versus B2C messaging is really crucial for our franchise owners, because we do both.
Right.
We market to customers, and then we market to those realtors. We market to actually title managers even, right? So someone comes in to sell a house and they don't have the money. Hey, I got a glass guy that can help you out to fix your windows, and you don't have to replace the whole window system.
Nice, nice, good. It's good that you do that. I think the more education, the better, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm curious, because you've worked in different fields and you have that vast experience. What do you think's been the most unexpected or rewarding lesson that you've learned in your time at the glass industry, in the glass industry?
The most rewarding thing is just really helping people not only understand the glass industry, but just really helping people attain their goals in their business. I am a huge Zig Ziglar fan. Okay, I'm old school, I know, but I love Zig Ziglar and all that he stands for. Well, most that he stands for. And one of his biggest sayings was, the more you help people get to their goals, the more you can get to yours. Yeah. And I think that this applies across a franchise system any day to help franchise owners get to where they need to be. I mean, they will then use every marketing piece you put out there. So that's one of my mantras, and I think it's a tried and true best practice.
No doubt, no doubt. I've got Jamie Kernohan with me, Director of Marketing and Communications, Glass Guru. See them online at theglassguru, all one word.com. And I always break up the podcast about halfway through with a fun question. And I have a feeling I may know the answer. It might be Zig Ziglar at this point. The question was, what is your favorite book or style of books out there? You may have already teased it. You may have already spoiled it. Give it to me. What is your all-time favorites?
Okay, well, all time, yeah, I did spoil it right. Zig Ziglar is one of my favorites, and I will reread See You at the Top is one of his best sellers. I love his old stories, and I also use him as presentation guidelines. Like, he always told a story, and I love listening to his stories. But lately, what I've been reading is not necessarily a book, but a newsletter called Superhuman.
Ooh, okay.
Superhuman talks about AI everything, and I am a huge AI fan. I love it from the fact that it cuts our time in half as a marketer, but you still need your guidance. You still need the expertise. You can't just let it run and expect it to work. But Superhuman is a great newsletter, and they talk everything AI, and I just love to keep up with what's going on, because it's hard to keep up. AI is moving so fast. So
it is. And where do you get Superhuman at? Who puts that out?
I can send you that. I just had it on my phone, so I'll send it to you. But yeah, I'll do a plug for Superhuman. Yeah. They are Zane Khan or Zane Kah, Kah. And I'll send you the link, but it's great. It tells you everything you need to know. I'm looking at it on my phone right now.
Perfect.
And everything you need to know about AI, what's going on. And the coolest thing right now that I think could be problematic for me is that chat is going to be able to send your emails from the chat platform. Ask it to help you with your email, and it'll send it directly. Oh, dear.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's a little frightening. Yeah.
I know. Maybe I could like that, but yeah, there you go. But I'll send that to you, Max, so you can have it.
Yeah, send it to me, and I'll put the link in the description, the show description, that people will read either on YouTube, or most likely they'll read it on Apple or Spotify, since that's
Oh
where
yeah,
most people pick this up at. Good
yeah.
stuff, good stuff, and I like that. I always like to learn some things, and I haven't read a lot of Zig Ziglar. I've been exposed to it, so I think
Uh-huh.
you got me convinced to add that in there. I have to break up. I'm a big the rise and fall of certain businesses guy.
Mm.
I love the
All
inside
right.
story of the rise and fall. I just read, the rise and fall of Bud Light as an example, and that was a
Oh,
tremendous read. I mean, it was
oh
riveting
man.
just because of not so much what happened with their turmoil a few years ago, but the history of really Budweiser in the U.S. It was really really well done. So I
Yep.
like what you have too. Very very cool. Thank you for sharing that. So let's go back to the marketing side. I'm curious because you talked about AI, and AI is like the new thing. I'm
Yeah.
curious because I'm an old school marketer, and I go way back, and I go way back further than you. But I'm curious, what is the thing that's missing, and the major part of marketing that was there when you first started and is not anywhere near you anymore? What's gone away in the marketing world for you?
You know, the things that I like that have gone away is all the time you have to spend researching things. Again, AI does help you with that.
Right.
But I think that from a marketing perspective, we are really losing that human touch. We really are. I have learned my best lessons by listening, going to focus groups, old
Yeah.
school, right? Listening to people, listening to customers, going on ride alongs, being a part of that voice of customer experience where people just don't do that anymore. And that's where I hear my greatest aha moments from marketing. I just was a speaker at a customer experience summit a few weeks ago. And the best thing I ever learned, I worked in marketing at Mary Kay in their marketing department for about 6.5 years. And I launched some skincare lines. And the best thing I ever did was go and listen to the consultants talk about
Right.
how hard it is to sell it, how hard it is, to get out there, and really taking that back and putting old school pen to paper and really coming up with campaigns and things that would be useful for them as sales tools. And that's where I find at the Glass Guru I love to do as well, like listening in our marketing hour and coming up with those sales tools that really help the grassroots efforts,
Sure.
because in the end, these are people who struggle every day to have their business, like everyone does in,
Right.
in business. And if there's anything I can do in marketing to make it easier, I want to do that. So um, I just think the human touch is lost. Again, AI is so big, people have forgotten.
Yeah.
I think I'm hoping it comes back around. While I love AI, I still have my one foot in old school. Like I just want to go and hear what the customers are saying, or what my glazers are struggling with. What are my estimators really having trouble with getting, using the tablet in someone's home. So
Right. Right.
really understanding that piece is crucial.
No doubt. And what's interesting for me is that there was a time, excuse me, there was a time when during COVID we went to everything virtual, and
Mhm.
there was a time during that period where trade shows will be done. Nobody will do a trade show anymore because you
Oh,
do everything online. And now
mhm.
it's great because you've seen it flip completely over. Trade shows that were like half hybrid and half live are now dropping the hybrid. They're dropping the remote, and they
Mhm.
want you to be there in person. And it's because, like you said, you cannot replace that human element. You can't do a trade show online. It was tried. It does not work. You
Right.
have to be there in person, touch, feel, talk. And so at least that's still alive from the personal aspect. But I agree with you. It's so easy to type something into the computer now and let AI tell you what the answer is versus you being out in the field and being able to say, hey, what do you think about this? And getting that, on the ground sort of information.
I truly agree. I think that it just helps in a franchise situation. And I worked at Neighborly, which is a franchise conglomerate, a few years ago. And Josh McCormick was the president of the brand Housemaster Home Inspections at the time. He's now president of Mr. Electric, one of their largest franchises. And he taught me a lot about franchising and being a part of the group. going to regional meetings, going to events, going, hosting the conference, and having the franchise owners just really get out of their shop, if you will, and come and listen and talk to us so that we can better serve them in their whole business situation. But that's where I learned it. I learned it from Josh to, get out and talk to the people. So I'm no longer just the square head talking to you, right? Like I do have the rest of me. And, it's franchise owners from that perspective. And whether it's glass or home services, whatever it is, when they realize you're a person and you realize they're a person, there's just a better connection. And I think that really does serve us well in our marketing.
Tremendous. I got Jamie Kernohan with me, Director of Marketing and Communications, Glass Guru, theglassguru.com. A few more questions for you because I know you're busy and you probably have a marketing hour coming up somewhere along the way if you haven't done it already.
Yes.
We are recording this on a Monday, so I'm either getting you before or after that. What are the hot products right now in the Glass Guru universe? What are your franchisees telling you that it's jumping off the shelves sort of thing?
It's always our insulated glass replacement, right? So our IGUs really trying to beef up that efficiency, especially in older homes. So we have a lot of residential, requests for that older home to replace those windows or that glass, even not the whole window, but foggy window repair. People just think, oh, I just need new windows. Well, we have a proprietary service that will help you with that. Help you check those seals and all those things. So really important to give us a call. Don't think that you have to buy the whole window. And I think that that's the biggest misnomer, right? I think homeowners, may want to sell their home, or maybe they're just upgrading because they can't afford to sell their home right now in the economy the way it is. And they just want to do a few pieces at a time, right? Yeah. So you could do that with the Glass Guru. So we are there to help you from that standpoint. We do commercial glass storefronts and things like that. We have a lot of property managers as our main customers. So if they own many condos in Florida, Bryan College Station, that's the home of Texas A&M.
Yep.
But our franchise owner there, you've got people who own, the condos, apartments, and you got college kids. I say no more, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So just helping those property managers getting ready for the next influx of kids, et cetera. So all of those pieces are important to us as far as products. But yeah, that energy efficient solution is really key, especially now when it costs so much to heat and cool your home. Really important. Summertime's coming, especially in Texas. But winter is bad for our northern states. Not so much in Texas, but we still want to help you out for sure with your efficiency there.
Yeah, absolutely. Dead on. Good stuff. Now, because you've worked on both sides of the industry, at least I consider the supply side, the install side. If you could change one thing after your years here in our world, what would that be? What would Jamie Kernohan say? Okay, we need to change this in the wonderful glass and glazing industry.
Oh my gosh. I just do think, as I mentioned a couple of times, just really helping that consumer understand that you can replace your glass. I think, even when I'm at social events and I talk about, oh, so what are you doing now? And, who are you marketing things for? And I say, they go, oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I think that that's on us to have that message out there more, which we do our best to get it out there, but just that repair option versus replacing. So now, we may have to replace, but let us come in and check it out and see if we can repair it for you. But that's one thing. And I think that that's really crucial in our business to get that message out.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a key. That's a key for sure. A couple more questions for Jamie Kernohan, Director of Marketing and Communications, the Glass Guru. See her and all they do at theglassguru.com. Your view of the economy. You mentioned a little earlier, the economy is a little soft. Obviously, interest rates, you're dealing in the housing area. The interest rates, they started to go down a little bit, then they pop back up. So that keeps people set at home. I know I don't want to move because I'll never get an interest rate like I have right now ever again. So what about you? Because you have so many markets that you're in. So some are probably better than others. What's your view of the economy? How you feeling? Good, bad, otherwise? What's your feel going forward?
We're always hopeful that it's going to really do gangbusters. We're leading into our high time right now, July and August for us as an industry, well, as a business as well. So just really getting that summertime update. So we're really hoping for a great boom. We have seen tremendous increase in our leads from first quarter to second quarter just in the month of May. So really, really positive signs from our perspective that we see just within our little world. Again, that repair versus replace, I think, is really, really instrumental for us to be able to repair a few things, not have to replace all the windows. Foggy windows can be fixed most of the time, so we come in and look at that, and I think the economy shows that for us because people aren't moving, like you say. Some places yes, some places no. Some of our franchise owners are doing great in their revenue, and some are not. And I think that just depends on where you are in the country and what people are doing. Certainly in the state of Texas, we've seen a great influx because people are coming to Texas, and our other states may be suffering because people are leaving. So that's also a problem for us, but we do try to meet our franchise owners where they are, where some focus more on showers.
Right.
Some focus more on wood rot. So it might not just be that replacement of window. So again, we just try to meet them where they are and help them market their pieces that fit their environment the best.
Yeah, variety and diversity make a big difference, and so you guys have that, and that helps obviously. So very cool. So last but not least, I'm curious. They tell you as an interviewer sometimes don't ask the question you don't know the answer to. So I'll throw it out at you. Glass Build. Will I see you at Glass Build? Will you make an appearance there? I just pitched how important in-person meetings are. Are we going to see you at Glass Build?
Oh, I know, Max. Oh my gosh, what a setup. I would love to be a Glass Build. I have been one or two times with Old Castle when I was in marketing with them. But unfortunately, this year, our conference, our Glass Guru Rise Above is our theme. Conference is just on the cusp of Glass Build. So we're going to be preparing for that, having our 80 franchise owners come to big time Frisco, Texas.
Wow.
The number one place to raise an athlete in the United States.
For sure.
If I should call it out, crazy. We're going to go visit Jerry World, the Frisco Star, and have some great dinners, conversations. We're really focusing on letting our franchise owners lead this conference. Really important. Again, I think back to the economy and back to what's going on across the system. We really want to hear from them and let them share that voice across the system to our franchise owners. Legacy, franchise owners, and how they can help our new franchise owners, really important. So I'll be preparing for that. I'm going to miss Glass Build, but I'm hoping to get there again. But I can't wait to see your post on it, Max. I know they'll be great.
Thank you. I appreciate you checking that out. And then if I'm back at North Texas Glass Association in the spring, I'll see you there because I know you've attended one or two of those in your past. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you reading the blog. So thank you on that.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't miss it, Max.
Fantastic. Jamie Kernohan, thank you so much. She's the Director of Marketing and Communications for the Glass Guru, and the website, theglassguru.com. Jamie, thank you for taking the time. Continued success out there with you and the team. And I will see you in person one of these days because we don't want to do these Zoom things. We gotta get our information in person somewhere along the way. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Max. I've enjoyed it and look forward to seeing you soon.
You bet. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Jamie. That was a lot of fun catching up with her. Thank you before that, Tom Culp. A lot of fun there. Just both people, once again, always deliver some good stuff, and I'm very thankful there. Also thankful to the gang at FHC. Check them out at FHC-USA.com. They are all about the glass and glazing industry, your partner in glass every step of the way. You install glass, FHC installs confidence. Thank you to them for the support of this podcast. And as I always do, TV-wise, it is World Cup time. There's really a tremendous documentary series, 5-6 episodes on HBO Max on the U.S. soccer team. I believe it's the U.S. against the world. It covers the last 4 years of their journey to the World Cup. Really, really, really well done. And especially if you're a soccer fan, extremely well done. So check that one out. And then the second season of Friends and Neighbors on Apple has just completed. The writing is terrible. The storyline has holes like crater sized, but it was a not a bad watch, but it amazes me sometimes on what actually gets from the writer's mind to the script to the screen. The holes, the storyline holes, or something else. It's worth watching it just for that. All right, that's it for me this time out. Another one coming in a few weeks. The podcast rolls on. I thank everybody who continues to listen, watch, support. I'm super, super grateful, and we'll just keep doing what we're doing. Until then, have a good one, everybody.
Oh, the music is stopped.